horizontal skill set is something that would work really, really well in any vertical. When you look at a business acquisition buy box, you want to look at what can I do where I can sprinkle my magic dust on top of it and make it grow even more. But at some point, you do need to hyper niche and focus down. So what I'd recommend doing,
beyond your paycheck, it's surges of cash that you can use to grow your net worth and feed your investments.
Hey, welcome to the Surges of Income podcast. My name is Chris Moore, and I'm so excited to have two guests here with me today, Justin and Courtney, and I'll introduce them in just a second. But first, if it's your first time ever watching my podcast, Surges of Income podcast, let me give you a brief introduction about what Surges of Income really is. Surges of Income is income outside your normal monthly recurring income that's not allocated towards your expenses and that's not getting hit in the mouth by cost of living and inflation. But instead, it's money that can come to you from really four primary ways. Number one, from the sale of a real estate property. Number two, the sale of a business. Number three, business profit distributions. And number four, tapping into digital marketing and sales to be able to create large amounts of money using live events, digital events, and product launches, where you can make lots of money in surges that can go straight towards building your net worth, which is going to be the true exit for that rat race, and be able to have your resources build you more resources rather than having to leverage your time. So as you already know, I am the COO at Dealmaker Wealth Society. And today I have Justin and I have Courtney, and both of these gentlemen are in our Dealmaker Protege program. That's Carl's mentorship inner circle business acquisition training program. And I asked somebody to come on my podcast. These two guys raised their hands. Keep that in mind. So as we go to the next level of how do we take that finance background, that real estate background, being able to have the ability to raise private money for real estate properties, how can we start translating some of those skills into buying businesses, and what businesses would really benefit from your skills, right? So when you look at a business acquisition buy box, you want to look at what can I do, what can I buy where I can sprinkle my magic dust on top of it and make it grow even more. Before just saying, I just want to buy something that's cash flowing and stack cash flowing assets, what business can I take over or buy where I could give some of my expertise, my knowledge, my wisdom, and put my experience to play to help grow the business? Because when you buy anything, you want to have the exit in mind. You're not buying this business just for cash flow. You're buying this business for cash flow for a certain period of time and then be able to exit it at some point. If you ever buy a business or really even a real estate property without having that kind of in your mind, usually it's not going to work out the way you want it to work out. I mean, you got to think about the exit, right? So starting with that, think about your skill sets. Being in the finance background, you probably have an extensive network. Think about what type of businesses would really work well for you. So you kind of have some of what we call horizontal skill set. Have you heard Carl say that before?
Yeah.
So for anybody listening to the podcast, horizontal skill set is something that would work really, really well in any vertical compared to a vertical skill set. Something like engineering or something like manufacturing, that type of thing is not going to work really well when you go into another industry. But when a horizontal skill set, something like a finance background, raising capital, digital marketing, business growth strategy, business consulting, CPAs, lawyers, those type of different skill sets and backgrounds can be leveraged in almost every business and be effective. So that also kind of hurts you a little bit because then you get paralysis of analysis.
Yeah.
Well, Chris said with my skill set and background, I could probably add a lot of value to pretty much any business. But at some point, you do need to hyper niche and focus down. So what I'd recommend doing, I have a special training called Establishing Your Dealmaker Identity. I'm sure you've seen it, but I go watch it again and start thinking about not just what could I do, but what do I want to do, right?
Yeah.
What is my life? What do I want my life to look like is one big thing. Some people say, and it's really confident when they say it too, that they want to be an owner investor, but some people they're bored. Like imagine if you didn't have anything to do every day and you just had a business that's raking in money. As much as that sounds amazing, you're going to get bored. So having some level of enjoyment in either leading the vision of the company or staying focused on the mission of doing something bigger than just one acquisition and maybe doing a roll up in just one industry at a time, serving the one customer avatar, maybe something like that's going to be better for you, right? Rather than going out and looking at all these different types of businesses, maybe pick a niche that would be really powerful for a roll up and I'll go over what that is in a second, and be focused on that specifically. The other thing that I'd encourage you to do is I think talking to several people who have already closed deals inside our program and just simply asking them, how did they develop their buy box? That's a really powerful conversation. Not talking about you or what you do or what you're great at, but instead say, hey, I just wanted to hear a little bit from you about your journey and tell me, how did you come up with the deal specification of going after dentist office or going after home service companies, right?
That's huge. I mean, in the other, mentorship that I'm a part of, that was one of the things that I did was I got into the habit of speaking to individuals within the group, setting a metric that you aim for on a weekly basis, speak to 5 new people a week. And that, once you build that momentum and you start hearing about what people are doing, it kind of starts to make a lot more sense. So definitely we'll repeat the process. And
are you doing that now already or no?
Yeah, I've kind of begun that process.
Okay.
I'm starting to ramp up. I've had a few conversations. Obviously, I'm a part of Team Viper, so go Team Viper if you're tuning in here.
Is that Brian's team?
Yeah, Brian's team.
Yeah, he crushed it today on the red light, green light.
Oh yeah, he did his thing. Yeah, really, really nice business that they have in play over there. And
yeah, that was cool.
A hot market. I've been looking in Vegas as well. So definitely doing that. People like Brian, people like Sean Bressler, and a lot of others. So we'll remain in the habit of there. And again, not have anxiety to feel like I need to get a deal done soon, but more so focus on refining a process that kind of filters out or filters in a deal that works for me. Yeah,
for sure. And one more thing before we jump to Justin on that. There's so many different right paths. There's so many ways you can go, right? Your first deal can be something you get it done, you get it out of the way, and then you have a lot more confidence and you go after the next one. That first deal could be a consulting for equity deal. It can be a much smaller business. It could be one that you joined in with 3 or 4 or even one more person from the group and did a business deal with them as a partner just to kind of check that box and get it out of the way. It could be that. It could be doing a deal just so you can see the entire process and have more confidence moving forward and have some wisdom from the perspective of what you went through so you can make better decisions throughout the next one. So sometimes don't put too much pressure on yourself to just say, I got to pick a niche and then I got to go out and I'm going to go after this $1 billion roll up. But instead, sometimes just getting that perspective, maybe seeing who else in the group could really utilize your skill set and what you're really bringing to the table, because there is power in numbers.
Yeah.
And success is lonely. That's why you see inside a Protege, there's like 25 or 30 different buying groups, literally that many. And there's a lot of people, if you're a CPA, you write your own ticket. They can go into any of those buying groups and get equity in these deals without even having to do any deal origination whatsoever. There's several of them that did that, right? If you have the ability to raise capital and you have the ability and the network of private equity funds and angel investors and family offices that will back you in any business that you bring them, or maybe you have all these people that you already have in your network that said, hey, go find me these type of businesses. We'll invest in them right now. Yeah. You could bring the deal flow to somebody and let them bring the capital, or you could bring the deal flow and let them take care of kind of having the whole system of doing the financial analysis, doing the simple model sheets. And you could build a business of people that have the skill sets, or a group of people to buy businesses with that have the skill sets that you don't. Like, there's so many ways to do this.
Yeah. Just as you said earlier, get creative. Back in, I think, February, had a deal come across my plate, and it was the first time I've ever raised funds, but I was able to raise, over $750,000 in 30 days. And I had never done it before. Didn't think I could do it, but I was like, let's just take a stab at it. You never know until you try. So it's that same type of thing. Just building momentum, putting yourself out there, networking.
It's huge.
I feel confident in the fact that things will come along. But as you said earlier, it's about the pressure when you see others doing big deals and having things going on. You just want to rock and roll yourself. But everything comes along the path. It's a whole journey. It's a process.
It takes time. And I think we'll talk about deal origination in a minute. I want to jump over to Justin, but
sure.
I think deal origination is huge, and having enough opportunity to be successful where you're not literally hanging on the balances of this one decision of this seller, this one offer you made. There's a reason why in Protege it says X, Y, and Z. For anybody listening to that, it's originate deals, meet sellers, make offers. And that's the accountability metrics that we post every single week. Because if you do those 3 things, it's almost impossible to fail. So shooting past the target, originating a lot of deals, having seller conversations constantly gets more confidence, more experience doing that. It's going to lead to better outcomes. And then statistically, if you make enough good offers, even if they're all seller financing, you will have some that are successful, especially if you're originating off market deals, which are definitely the holy grail. So Justin, jumping over to you for a few minutes, maybe it's pretty similar to what Courtney just said. I mean, you have a background in real estate. Your W-2 job for many years was something that probably doesn't translate really easily to many different businesses, but maybe it does, right? So tell me a little bit about where your head's at. Where are you in the journey of really picking your buy box?
Well, I think, yeah, with the power lines, it is hard to translate directly over, but it's still, construction based. So I think that getting something into home services, some sort of construction, I think I could do well at, because I've got a good track record in that industry, and the real estate, I think I could probably utilize as well, but I guess I'm not sure exactly how to use that real estate into the business buying.
Sure. Well, let's dive into that for just a second. Home services is awesome. I love service-based businesses over product-based businesses because they don't have a cost of goods sold. If they do have a cost of goods sold, like material, usually that's transferred over to the actual client where they pay that. That doesn't hit your margins. Service businesses usually have higher margins in general. Then home services boom during COVID. Some people believe it may slow down a little bit, specifically on like remodels. But the demand for housing is constantly still rising. So I think we're going to be fine. And with prices and interest rates being high, so many people would rather just remodel what they have versus go out and try to buy something new because they're afraid to sell their house because they don't think they're going to be able to get a new one. So I think you're on track there. One of the things with home service businesses is they have, in general, what we call low skill, low wage labor market. And that's the only thing that scares me about home services in general is staffing. That's the biggest issue with type of home service businesses, right? Where you can't keep good workers. Some businesses have figured it out, some haven't. Usually the larger businesses have already figured that out. They've got a great talent pipeline. They have some level of benefits where people want to work for them, so they don't have that much of an issue. When it comes to translating that into real estate, you may look at your network, right? Do you have an area geographically where you have a lot of people, maybe in the sub 2 or any other real estate communities you're a part of, are in that area? So imagine something like a Scottsdale. There's so many of the sub 2 guys out in Scottsdale, or up in New England area. There's tons and tons of them up in New England, tons of them in Texas, right? Imagine buying a home service business in that area that could serve your entire network while they do deals. That could be a possibility. Imagine if you had really deep connections inside the real estate industry in your area in Colorado, buying a local business that could actually cross-sell all your relationships may be very beneficial. There's all types of ways to look at it. If you were a giant flipper and you're flipping 30, 40 houses a year, and maybe that's not giant, anybody laughing at me for saying giant here, but and you wanted to be able to have more of a scratch your own itch business. You ever heard that concept, scratch your own itch?
Yep.
Where you want to do it for your own. I mean, that would work really well. It's kind of not exactly what you're doing right now, but there's all kinds of ways to do that. You could even get into the support businesses around Airbnbs. If you had a solid network of different Airbnb owners, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. But a lot of that is pretty red ocean. There's a lot of different people out there doing that right now. So you don't want to fight for something when there's not very much market share available. So when it comes to home services, are you gravitating towards any specific type of company there?
Yeah, I'm gravitating towards electrical contractors, because even though I was a lineman for most of that, before I was a lineman, I worked as a commercial electrician. Mm-hmm. So I feel like my experience there is I've worked on everything from the power plant all the way down to the light switch at your house. So I think with that and my knowledge of both industries, I think that there's a chance to grow a small electrical contractor, and then maybe put in kind of grow that into some medium voltage areas as well. So they're not just wiring houses, but we could get into doing something more.
Have you connected with any of the other electrical contracting company owners inside of Protege?
No, I have not.
So let's connect you. Step one. One of our guys, he's actually partners with Carl in one of their businesses. He's got an incredible set of businesses across a couple metros in Ohio. His name's Vincent. So I'll connect you directly there. But someone like that would be a great sounding board for you, as well as they may have the ability to maybe even partner with you and accelerate, as well as add tons and tons of credibility when the lending side.
Okay.
And there may be some good synergies there. And I believe there's 2 other people as well who've been in that business for quite a while, one in Chicago. So remind me, without giving out everybody's identity on this podcast, I'll connect you directly with them. But one of the biggest strengths of our network is the fact that there's probably somebody already else going after the exact same thing you are, or somebody who has credibility or capital and expertise and more connections than you do that may be wonderful to work with. And if you just brought them deal flow, and you may be able to accelerate the number of deals you can do and accelerate how long it takes you to get it done, right? So if you could go out and deploy an off-market strategy going towards aging or retiring electrical contracting companies, residential or commercial, and start bringing this deal flow to this other gentleman I'm referencing, there may be some great opportunities to work together. And even on your first deal, not putting a ring on his finger, but working with him on one deal, seeing how it works and be able to really accelerate the process.
Yeah. I love that. I'm actually working on originating deal flow off market electrical contractors right now.
Perfect. So let me get you connected with Vincent, and he's really solid, dude, really smart. And what I sat down with him in Tampa for dinner, and I got to learn a little bit more about the way his head works and his brain. And it's literally system and process designed all the way through the entire business, all the way from the customer experience to the sales system to the way that the dispatching works, as well as he was telling me a little bit about his talent recruitment funnel. So he always has people coming in so that problem doesn't exist with employees. So either way, it's somebody I like to just be around really smart people who are already doing what I want to do. So to me, that would be a great connection for you.
Yes, that's amazing. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, enjoyed it. Thank you so much. If it's your first time watching, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. And we'll see you next time on Surges of Income podcast.
See you guys.
See ya.